What's up, guys, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 67, and I am one of your co-hosts, Jason, and I am joined today by 47. Hello, 47. No, I'm joined by my usual co-host, as always, Travis. Travis, what's good?
Not much. I'm just been really into. When I was a kid, I used to watch you guys would play games sometimes. Like sometimes you and your neighbors would be there, and I'd be there. We would take turns
Hmm.
on the gamepad, as you guys say.
Hmm.
And I've gotten into that a little bit lately, watching people play the Hitman.
You have speed runs.
Yeah, so I watch speed runs. They're fascinating. I watched this guy called Atriarch do some different world records. He played the last 3 in succession. He beat it in like all 3 in like 38 minutes total. And
Just fucking A.
of course, they're all like, if you look at the speed runs, my favorite part is like they're almost all on PC, and you have to submit them in, obviously. But
Right.
in the top 5, there's always a guy on Stadia, and it kills me every time. Like,
No way.
just some dude on Stadia is out here whooping ass in like Colorado, doing his thing.
The one guy playing Stadia.
Yeah, and it started because I saw a video that was like, you remember the Colorado map?
Oh, yeah.
And it's, to me, one of the worst Hitman maps because it's not really sure what it is. Because usually it's like there's like these fortress type areas you have to get into, or it's like these levels with all of this like I don't know what you'd call it. Like it's not a big map, but there's a lot of levelation to it. So there's floors and basements and this, that, and the other. Like Dartmoor is, I guess Dartmoor is both of those kind of things, but you know what I mean. Like I guess there's a lot of levelation, and it's like Colorado.
Yeah, a lot of verticality.
The whole thing is a fortress. There's like nowhere to move where you can be creative. So I ended up watching these guys, speed run that map because I thought, how can you do this map in under like 30 minutes? It doesn't make sense to me. And they've, you like, one of them throws down a muffin and stands on a muffin on top of the briefcase, and then shoots a lawnmower, then shoots a chandelier at 26 seconds. That kills one person. They shoot a hay bale at 1:09, and then somebody lights a cigarette by the mower. That kills 3 of them at 1:10. It's like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what started it, and then I went down the wormhole, and it's speedrunning in general is fascinating.
It is. Imagine having that much time to be able to figure all of that out, all of those permutations to be able to get the quickest possible time.
Right. And the funny part is you watch them play. It's not just on Hitman, but you watch other games, and they'll yell about RNG. Do you know what RNG is?
Yeah, random number generator.
And it's like so true. Like,
Yeah.
what they'll do, like, it's like on Hitman, for example, they'll stop and like, in some mat run throughs, a guy will just walk in front of a door, so you can hit him immediately. Sometimes he'll stop and like sneeze and turn around. It's just like a random algorithm that'll hit, and when that random algorithm hit, it just throws off the whole run.
Right, you just got to start over.
It's great. I love it. But anyway, yeah, long tangent to say, really into the Hitman speedruns.
Speaking of speedrunning, Travis, that's exactly what this podcast is for PlayStation news. And you like what I did there? And you and I like to get together every week, and we discuss all of the week's news, rumors, new games, and much more in the world of PlayStation. And we do it all in under 90 minutes every time. We post new episodes every Monday on all the usual podcast services around the world, like the one you're listening to currently, most likely. We also post on YouTube at the DualSense Podcast, where we also share game streams and clips occasionally. And then also, we would love to hear from you. And if you would like to do that, then find us on the Twitter at the DualSense Pod. We're very active there, and we like to stay in the conversation. So find us and hit us up. Let us know what you think about the show, or let's just talk PlayStation, all as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into the news here, Travis. And we have a very, very meaty week of news that you're just now seeing for the first time, because I apparently did not email you the show notes earlier. So this will be, I'll be giving you the news of the world, just like Tom Hanks in that movie.
Fucking boomer. Can't use an email attachment.
Number 1, head of PlayStation Studios, Herman Hulst, announced the acquisition of Austin, Texas-based Bluepoint Games as PlayStation's 16th first-party studio over on the PlayStation blog on Thursday. The studio was founded in 2006 and has a current headcount of nearly 70 staff. PlayStation and Bluepoint Games have a long history of working together on remakes, remasters, and ports of numerous PlayStation IP, including God of War, Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, Metal Gear Solid, PlayStation All-Stars, Uncharted, and Gravity Rush, and most recently, Demon's Souls for the PlayStation 5, which Sony announced has already sold 1.4 million copies since launch in November of last year. Following the announcement, Bluepoint Games president Marco Thrush told website IGN that the developer has already begun work on a new original game rather than a remake or remaster. Thrush said, quote, "Our next project, we're working on original content right now. We can't talk about what that is, but that's the next step in the evolution for us. The transition from remasters to remakes was to test ourselves and push ourselves harder for the next step," end quote. Holst also hinted to IGN that PlayStation may not be done with studio acquisitions, Travis, saying, quote, "We are open always to building new relationships or bringing people in-house, but only if we adhere to the quality-first mentality and the right kind of innovative content, new experiences, and diverse experiences," end quote. Following that announcement, website PlayStation Universe reported that video game analyst Millie A, whoever the hell that is, stated on Twitter that Bluepoint is actually working on two projects, one of which is indeed an original game similar in size to Spider-Man Miles Morales, and the other project being a remake of a beloved game. What do
Hmm.
you think?
Well, just a gambit here to run through.
It is.
First of all, I don't think anybody is terribly surprised that they are now a PlayStation studio.
Yeah.
I think Bluepoint has been on this track for a while. One of the things that I really like is, and Thrush mentioned this in his comment, they went from remasters to remakes, and now they're doing the most logical step, which is to make their own original game. And it's kind of cool how like they kind of set themselves up to do that, to build their own thing. They got to kind of test themselves and see what they had in studio talent wise, to see what maybe they were good at
Mm-hmm.
individually. And I think doing it that way is interesting. It's kind of like being in the minor leagues and developing, or playing college before you go to the pros. It's kind of like just a cool, easy way to ease yourself into it. Because I think, case in point, you can in CD Projekt Red, sometimes you can be too ambitious too quick and bite off more than you can chew. And I think they've kind of set themselves up in a way to prove, or at least they've earned the right to do this, to do their own thing, and they've
Mm-hmm.
definitely earned the right to be a PlayStation studio. I think they've done. There's no reason for them not to be, basically, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that whatever prompted Herman Hulst to say, we're always interested in building new relationships and bringing people in house. Like, we don't need to ask that question. PlayStation and Microsoft and whoever else is always going to be in the business of hiring talent. It's never going to end, especially with this much
Mm-hmm.
money in the industry. We don't need to ask that question anymore. Like,
Mm.
every time that PlayStation buys somebody says, "Hey, are you still buying people?" Of course they are. Even if they say no, of course they are. Like,
Sure.
it's like everything has a price. Everything's always for sale. So I think that's a silly question that we can move on from. But I am interested to see what first off, what is their original game? What does it look like? A size similar to Miles Morales again.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a good stepping stone into your first game, a good size to make sure you have, the bearings and you're doing a good thing. But the remake of a beloved game, also very interesting. Are they going to do that in tandem with another studio, or is it going to be a full remake by them?
Mm.
You would assume it would be in tandem since they have the rights. So I'm just curious about that last Millie A leak. I
Yeah.
think that might be the most interesting thing out of this to me, is what those two will turn into.
Yeah, I think all of that is spot on, and it's very interesting what there's some debate today about what an original game exactly means from Bluepoint, because that I guess there's a debate over whether or not that actually means a new IP, like something totally from scratch that they're making, or
Mhm.
is it an original take on an existing IP? For instance, is it a new, not that this would be it, but is it a new take on Batman in video games, or you know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
So there's some debate about that, whether it's totally new IP or something else, but we'll see. And then I think that I do think it's exciting to potentially see what they could do with an original game or possibly a new IP. that is exciting. However, sometimes you don't always want to get away from what you're good at or known for. So, and for me personally, I also hope that it's true that they're working on a remake of a game as well, because that's just kind of their wheelhouse and they've done so well with it. Now, at the same time, I'm skeptical about this at first here because their headcount of 70 people does not add up to them working on 2 projects, at least not in full development projects, because that's not enough people to make a original AAA game and a remake, a AAA level remake of another game. So I'm a little skeptical of that right now, but my gut tells me that in the next several weeks that we're going to see articles about how many people that Bluepoint is hiring for, all these positions that they're, posting about and getting hints of what type of game they're making. So I think all that's coming because I think they're going to staff up to probably over 100 people in very short notice here.
And like you said, those job descriptions will be fun to kind of pick through those and see what we think it means.
Yeah, and we're going to do that a little bit later about a different game. But this is a big acquisition, and it makes a ton of sense. They have a long-standing relationship working with PlayStation, and if you remember, Sony Japan or PlayStation Japan accidentally leaked this a while back by tweeting out the graphic by mistake. So this has been in the cards. And last thing I'll say about it here is that Herman Holst tweeted after the announcement, tongue in cheek, that he said, "No, none of you saw this coming," and with a little smiley face. So, but congratulations to Bluepoint, the 16th first party studio, and exciting things to come. Number 2, earlier in the week, PlayStation's newest first party studio, well, used to be newest, not really anymore, Firesprite, announced that they have acquired Manchester, England-based studio Fabric Games with a K. Fabric was founded by Firesprite's managing director, Graham Anchors. That is such a fucking English name or
super
whatever.
Unfortunate.
That is such a fucking like UK name, Graham Anchors. Love that. He sounds like he should be in Rockstar or work at Rockstar on GTA. Anyway, Anchors Fabric was founded by Firesprite's managing director Graham Anchors in 2014, and the two studios most recently collaborated on survival horror roguelike title The Persistence, which came to PSVR in July of 2018, followed by a PS4 version in May of 2020, and a PS5 version with next-gen features back in June of this year. As for what they're currently working on, job listings from a few months back indicate that Fabric may be developing a new AAA sci-fi horror title. This acquisition brings Firesprite's total headcount to 265 employees, which was already larger in size than both Media Molecule and London Studio combined even prior to this acquisition. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we talked before about how large Firesprite is. It's just insane that they have that many employees.
Yeah.
And that, to your point earlier, Bluepoint is trying to make 2 games with less employees than that, and Firesprite's only doing 1 horror AAA. So I think that, like you said, Bluepoint's definitely going to go on a hiring spree here. But
yeah,
if you work for Firesprite, I'm sorry,
they're
if you
both
work for
Fs,
Fabric,
so, yeah, they're both Fs. So you got to
if
keep
you
them
work for
straight.
if you work for Fabric, you had to be thinking like, all right, well, our boy just got hired by PlayStation Studio as a first party studio. You think we're going to be going along pretty quickly there. So that's a nice pull on the coattails there if you're them. But I mean, I'm never going to play the game if it's a horror film, let's be honest.
Yeah. So this move apparently was already in the works, I guess, when Sony acquired Firesprite. So they kind of just finalized this, and they brought Fabric into the fold of
Okay.
Firesprite. And so my understanding is that they'll just merge in with Firesprite and become part of the team. We talked, I guess it was last week when they were acquired, meaning Firesprite, that they had 2 projects in the work, we believe. One potentially being a PSVR 2 title, and the other being that open world dark narrative RPG or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That sounded interesting. And so now with bringing Fabric in the fold, I'm wondering if they're going to continue working on their sci-fi horror title that we just talked about, or if they're going to, put that on hold and help out with these 2 titles that Firesprite is already working on. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But again, to the point that we've been making several, for a long time now on the show, is that there are several studios at PlayStation that are making two games and in some cases three. Could this be the next team to make 3 games for them? It's possible. We'll just have to see. Number 3, God of War Ragnarok was apparently delayed due to the health of the game's lead protagonist, Christopher Judge, who claimed this week that the sequel to 2018's reboot was delayed to accommodate him. In a series of tweets on Thursday, Judge revealed that beginning in August of 2019, his health took a turn for the worst. After being unable to walk, Judge required major back surgery, a double hip replacement, and knee surgery. This led developer Sony Santa Monica to graciously delay further performance capture for Kratos, according to Judge, until he had fully recovered and felt like returning to work, for which he also thanked the studio on Twitter. And finally, Judge claimed that after Cory Barlog, the director of the 2018 game, shared with the team that he would not be directing the sequel, he attempted to quit, to which Barlog asked him to trust his judgment that current director Eric Williams is a quote-unquote beast, to which Judge said in a later tweet that Eric Williams was indeed a motherfucking beast. So, anyway, Travis, any thoughts on this?
I think it's pretty rare that a company would delay a game that it makes that much money and is that much of a series for a motion capture actor. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people would just get somebody else to do it. That's very interesting to me. I think that says a lot. Awesome. Good on them. Like, that's really cool. I also think it's funny that he tried to quit. I mean, that kind of tells you a lot about Corey, though, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, they must really think a lot of him. As other people didn't really want to necessarily be involved either, if I remember that correctly. They were worried about, what the new director was going to be like. And hey, I think it worked out. I mean, clearly Corey knew what he was talking about, but I mean, all of this is kind of surprising to me. I would have just assumed they would have gotten somebody else. Also, what did he do to get hurt? What I mean, Jesus, dude.
Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of him, but he is a big man. He's a very large, like not like round large, like he's tall, he's bulky, he's a big, bulky, tall
You think it's
man.
like a weightlifting injury or something? Maybe like
Could be. Right? I just feel like, or I just feel like he's like 6'5" and he has like degenerative spine or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So anyway, I believe that this played a part in God of War Ragnarok being delayed. Obviously, you want your star to be able to be in the show, and that certainly sets you back. I'm not totally convinced that this is the only reason that Ragnarok was delayed. That certainly seems unlikely that this is the only thing that played into it. It probably was, some COVID complications as well and things like that. One other thing that I found interesting as soon as I read about this is that I don't know if you remember us talking about it, but a while back, maybe last year, we learned that Spider-Man was getting a new face actor on PS4, and they replaced the original guy and said that
was it Andrew Garfield?
no, no, and said that they had to replace the original face actor because his face did not line up with the voice actor's facial bones or something like that.
What?
And the voice actor came out, Yuri Lowenthal came out and it's like, guys, it's my fault. Like, blame it on me. It's me and my stupid face or something like that. So I immediately thought of that. And I just thought about how odd that is, that this is the second time now that a major PlayStation first party studio has had the lead protagonist, either the voice actor or the full performance capture actor, come out and say that they're the reason that something went wrong with the game. So I don't know, maybe that happens more often than we know about. And, these two guys just said something about it, but I don't know. That just seems odd to me. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy or anything, but I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, apparently we got Judge to blame. Not really, blame's the wrong word, but hopefully he's in much better health now. And it's very cool, like you said, for
Judge to blame. Yeah, fuck you, Judge, for having all that shit. We just wait on a video game. Goddamn.
Yeah, you motherfucker. It's very cool that Sony Santa Monica gave him the time that he needed to come back and get healthy. So very cool. And especially when we always talk about people getting crunched and, getting harassed and shit all the time by developer. So anyway, number 4, website Video Games Chronicle reported on Friday that the rumors of Konami reviving long-dormant franchises are indeed true. Publisher sources told the outlet that Konami is focused on bringing its biggest brands back to the premium game space, including Metal Gear Solid,
Oh,
Castlevania, and Silent Hill.
we already have that. Oh,
VGC
sorry.
VGC claims the first title will be a new Castlevania game, which was described by sources as a quote-unquote reimagining of the series, and is in development internally at Konami with support from external Japanese studios. VGC was also told that the Metal Gear Solid series is also being worked on by Singapore-based studio Virtuous and not Bluepoint Games, as long had been speculated. Virtuous was founded in 2004 and has a long history of co-developing, porting, or acting in a support role on major AAA franchises such as BioShock, Assassin's Creed, Dark Souls, Uncharted, Call of Duty, Horizon Zero Dawn, Watch Dogs, Battlefield, and Tomb Raider, among many others. Virtuous's Metal Gear Solid project is in early development, and sources told VGC it would center around Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater in some way. It's very odd. Konami also intends to release remasters of the original Metal Gear Solid games for modern consoles ahead of this larger project, according to VGC. And finally, multiple Silent Hill games are currently in development at various external studios, one of which was given to a prominent Japanese developer, as VGC reported back in February of this year. And we talked about on the show already. All right, there's another mouthful. What do you make of any of this?
First of all, Virtuous is like the fucking cranberry guy. Like, they're in everything, man. They're in like apple juice. They're all over the place. Anyway, yeah, we know that Silent Hill is being made in some way. We've heard that a lot from a lot of different people. The funny part is we've seen a lot of smoke, but we really haven't gotten the quote unquote source of the fire yet. You know, we've heard it's here, it's there, it's abandoned, it's whatever. So
yeah, it's abandoned. All right.
That's what I was yelling about earlier. It was like, it's abandoned. Yeah, of course we have Silent Hill. It's right there in front of us. But so where does Metal Gear 3 rank in the Metal Gear world? Better than the last one, but not better than the rest?
No, for a lot of people, that's the best one. So
the best one.
It is a very, very good. It is very good. For me, it's 4 and then 3 probably, but it's very good.
Is 3 the one where you find out there's another snake?
That seems like almost all of them, honestly. Three's the one that takes place in like the 60s, and you've got like the guy. You've got if you remember, I think me and you controller swapped that one actually. Do you remember do you remember the guy in the woods who was the sniper and he would just randomly shoot you when you're walking through?
Do I remember getting my head blown off? Yeah.
3's also the one that introduced the camos, like you had to change the camos depending on the environment of the.
That's fun.
Yeah. So continue.
So one of my theories has been when we get another Metal Gear, because I can't imagine they wouldn't make another one at this point, that we would get some remasters first to kind of like, I guess, kick up some interest or remind people to get it back in sort of the lexicon and back into the ether of the world. So all of that lines up with me. I'm not surprised about any of that. All of that sounds awesome. I do love a proper stealth game. I think Metal Gear, Dishonored are very stealthy games. You can make an argument that Hitman is. I consider it more of a puzzler with a stealth add-on than, because you can just, I guess, because you can't really. Could you beat Metal Gear just going loud the whole time?
I don't. That's a good question. Probably if you want.
Hitman, if you decide the way you're going to solve the puzzle is just nuking the map, you can do that.
Yeah. Right.
You know, to me, that kind of loses the stealthiness tag as far as I'm concerned. It goes both ways. Anywho, but no, this sounds really cool. Silent Hill is a huge franchise that people love. Castlevania is a huge franchise people love. So yeah, I'm excited that we're going to get all 3 of these back. I like these existing in my video game world.
Yeah, of course, this has been rumored for a little bit now that Konami was working with external partners to bring their franchises back. And, to your point, Castlevania and Silent Hill are not for me. Sure as shit not going to play Silent Hill. We tried to play it on, I guess, PlayStation 1, the original, back in the day.
I'm good.
As far as I got, and if you guys play Silent Hill, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. As far as I got, which is not very far, is when you, at the very beginning of the game, you go down an alleyway in the town or whatever the hell, and it's like pitch black, and you get to the end, and there's somebody crucified on the wall. Then you turn around, and then you turn around because you have nowhere else to go, and it's just all these like creatures just coming after you. Oh, that scared the shit out of me. I was done.
You're
After
also
that.
like 7.
I was, but I'm still done. I'm good. So anyway, but the one obviously that excites me the most is Metal Gear Solid. I think it's great that they're coming back in some way, whether it's remasters of all the old games, possibly a remake somewhere along the way, possibly, surely, a new entry in the franchise in some form or fashion. I do find it odd that they are centering their large project around Metal Gear Solid 3, even though it is very beloved and in a lot of minds the best Metal Gear Solid 3. It just seems odd. It's the same problem that I kind of have with Naughty Dog and PlayStation putting Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy remastered on PC. Those are the first ones they're getting on there, I think. I don't think you can play the Nathan Drake collection on PC. I could be wrong about that, but like it just seems like an odd place to start. You know what I mean? Like why would you
Yeah.
start in the middle? I
I
don't know.
immediately think they must not like something about 4 and 5. Like they must be okay with 1 through 3. That's what
I don't
like.
know.
That's my initial reaction.
I feel like you should say, all right, Metal Gear Solid 1, we're going to remake it or remaster it or whatever the hell. Make it for modern consoles, and then we're going to work our way from there. Like, to me, that just makes the most sense. But whatever, start with 3. I feel like maybe the best way to do all this is just to make a next gen collection with maybe all 5 games, and just charge like $100 for it. Fuck it, I mean, I might pay $100 for all 5 games remastered on PS5. I mean, that's a
You
hell of a.
might.
I think that's pretty good
You
value.
would. You would pay them. It's $20 a game, is what you tell yourself.
Probably, yeah, probably. But it's exciting. It's good to have Konami back, and not worrying about the fucking pachinko machines, which is what they had like waded into as the casino shit over in Japan. And so it's good to have them back in the proper game development, and especially for the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And the rumor is that they will announce some of this stuff next year, and we'll have a better idea of what they're doing exactly. Number 5, Travis, Video Games Chronicle also reported that the rumored PlayStation 5 Twisted Metal game is in development at Destruction All-Stars developer Lucid Games, according to sources. The game is currently in early development and is being built around a free-to-play model, partially in response to Destruction All-Stars' last-minute shift from a premium title to a PlayStation Plus game. The release of the new Twisted Metal is expected to coincide with the release of the upcoming television series starring Anthony Mackie in 2023. And sources told VGC that, quote, despite the poor reception to All Stars, Lucid has a long pedigree in the racing genre and is trusted to do a good job with Twisted Metal, or Twister Metal. There is a type there, end quote. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Twister Metal is a fantastic movie.
Sounds like a porno.
Twister Metal. She's like a robot.
Yeah, or she's got a lot of piercings.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a turn.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, I don't have a lot to say about this. Seems like every week we get a little bit more about Metal Gear in some way.
You mean Twisted Metal?
Okay. Yep, that's what I meant. All right.
Continue.
So, Destruction All Stars isn't that bad. The poor receptions, I think, is a little bit overblown. I think it just wasn't marketed in the right way, and that's what people got upset about. In a way, you could see how All Stars is kind of like a second cousin to Twisted Metal in a way. Like there's a lot of, you can kill the cars, quote unquote. It's a little more bubbly and fun. It's kind of like JoJo Suiwa, fuck Twisted Metal, and that's what you got.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, I mean, look, if anybody, I think Lucid could do a really good job with this. Is what I'm trying to say. But again, that's the two things. I think Lucid could do a really good job, and I think that Destruction All Stars got a bad rap. I think it's a fine game.
Yeah, Destruction is fine, as you say. Yeah, it died quick. It really fell off. Like, I mean, it's still around. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but they have the AI cars now that you can race against. That game was just missing a little something that would give it some staying power. However, I don't think that they'll do a bad job on Twisted Metal, especially if it's a free-to-play model. I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
I actually think for most multiplayer only games, which I'm going to assume this would be, although the originals had like a story campaign or whatever back in the day, but I'm assuming this will be a multiplayer kind of only title, is my guess. But free to play is a good way to go with those sorts of games. And this had been rumored for a little while that they were going to have a Twisted Metal show and it was going to have a game that tied into it. 2023 makes sense because we just got Destruction All Stars and they obviously have the bones for Twisted Metal there with probably the engine for All Stars, and just spend a couple years creating that and tweaking it for Twisted Metal. And I mean, I feel like Twisted Metal is one of those franchises that is like really important to PlayStation because it was like a launch game on the first console. The original game was, and things like that. I don't know how much it matters now.
Right.
I don't know.
I think that's a fair question. I was wondering that too. Like,
Yeah,
at what point are remakes kind of pointless? Like, if the ship has sailed, this might be a game where it's done that. Like
yeah,
to the bullet that we just went over. Metal Gear, perfect.
hmm
Silent Hill, perfect. There's a market for these, right?
yeah,
Castlevania, perfect. Like, is Twisted Metal that? I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know, but at some point when we keep doing these remakes or remasters, we're gonna hit that wall where it's like we're at a wall, and after this point, nothing is good.
yeah. I guess it would be weird if they'd made a television show and they're like, "Hey, this is this television show on Netflix that was based on a PlayStation game from the 90s." And then, hey, it's got the guy who's Falcon Soldier or whatever the hell from from Marvel movies. He's the main guy in the show, and everybody's going to be like, what is Twisted Metal? And then, so I mean, I get that from a marketing standpoint to have a game that people can turn to, and vice versa. If people pick the game up and they're like, well, this is cool. Oh, there's a show about it. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that lines up in a way, but I don't know. I'm not I guess my question is like what happens when it's going to be free to play. Oh, fucking ass. I was about to say what's going to happen when Twisted Metal sells like 2 million copies. Like, I don't
Right.
know, but we'll see. Maybe I'm totally off base. Number 6, Xbox Era podcast host Nick Baker claimed this week that he has heard Sony is working with Disney to create a new Marvel multiplayer game separate from Spider-Man and the recently announced Wolverine. Baker claimed the title would be a PlayStation 5 exclusive and speculated that the game would be in development at Insomniac Games. In somewhat distantly related news, Marvel creative vice president Bill Roseman told the Week in Marvel podcast that the upcoming Spider-Man 2 would be a darker entry in the franchise, stating, quote, "If the first Spider-Man game was Star Wars, Spider-Man 2 is kind of our empire," meaning Strikes Back. "It gets a little darker," end quote. Any thoughts?
After the PlayStation showcase, we talked about at some length about do we need more Marvel games? Because we already have so many fucking movies, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm marveled out at this point. Wolverine
Mhm.
is exciting because I remember the other Wolverine game being pretty good. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's fun. I'm into that, but
yeah,
I don't know that I need a third I Marvel IP that is whatever it is. I just ugh, it's just so watered down at this point for me.
yeah.
But Empire Strikes Back is not that much darker than the first Star Wars. Come on, guys. Like maybe the dialogue is a little bit darker at some points because some weird stuff happens in the movie. And let's not do spoilers.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars and it's been out since 1977 or whatever. But
Yeah.
point being, like, if he would have said it's Spider-Man 2 is our Dark Knight, I'd been like, okay, that's a great comparison. But like, this isn't
Mhm.
that dark. It's like not that much darker. But
Yeah.
we've heard for a while now that Spider-Man 2 would be a little more. I'm going to use the phrase DC-ish.
Mm. A little more
Um,
mature.
yeah, and I think that would be good for the series. Like, you
Yeah.
know, we've kind of been through the Marvel campy stuff.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't want a multiplayer game from Marvel. We've had those. We've had Marvel Ultimate Alliance. We've got Marvel's Avengers. To your point, I agree. They've got to be careful with these properties. PlayStation, Sony, Marvel games. They've got to be careful. They're going to, for me, for a gamer like me, who's a passive Marvel fan, really only,
Right.
really only Spider Man resonates with me as an IP, for instance. they've got to be careful because I feel like you can really burn people out, like you're saying. And I don't know that we just need this overload of Marvel games that we're already starting to get.
Right.
I
I mean,
also,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I really hope this isn't true for one real reason, which is that if this is true and it turns out to be at Insomniac Games, then Insomniac becomes a de facto Marvel Games studio that PlayStation owns.
Yeah.
And do we really want Insomniac only making Marvel games? Like,
It seems like a waste.
for me, the answer is no. Yeah, you don't. I just don't think you do. Like, if you want them to have Spider-Man, cool, keep that going. That's a big, big tentpole IP and franchise. Makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. You haven't let them keep that one. That's cool. Wolverine, make a game. I don't know. See what happens. I just don't know, man. I don't want Insomniac to get stuck in this vacuum of only making Marvel games because there's only so much time in the day. There's only, like we
It's
talk
kinda
about,
disappointing. It's
if
just
they,
disappointing.
yeah, two Marvel games is already basically everything that they're doing. They probably have one other team working on something different, which whether that's Ratchet or whether
By Ratchet,
that's
do you mean Ratchet& and Clank or, like, Ghetto?
whether that's Ratchet and Clank or whether that's Sunset Overdrive or something like that.
Oh, I
Like,
forgot about that already.
yeah, so there's one other team that's unaccounted for potentially, but if that's the team that's going to be making a Marvel multiplayer game, then that leaves no one that we're aware of at the studio making anything other than a Marvel game.
Ugh.
And I just don't think that's a road that I personally want to go down. But I guess we'll see. Hopefully Nick is wrong. Nick's not always right. None of us are. Nick at night. Nick is right. Nick ain't right. Okay. Number 7. It's like a limerick or some shit. Number 7, according to multiple new job listings at Horizon developer Guerrilla Games, the studio may be working on a multiplayer title set in the Horizon universe. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported on the new postings, which include one for a senior social systems designer, which mentions features that allow players to form quote unquote guild like groups to explore the world together. Meanwhile, a job posting for a senior game writer requires the candidate to have prior experience with narrative design for open world RPG games, online games, and MMORPGs.
It's like 3 people in the world.
Right. For context, we know that 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn originally included 2-player co-op, Travis, but was eventually scrapped. And it was also reported back in April of 2020 that the upcoming Horizon Forbidden West may feature a co-op mode as
Hmm.
well. What do you think?
Yeah, I could see co-op mode on this game. I think that'd be fun. But a guild-like group reads more like doing a raid in Destiny or like having a posse on Red Dead. It feels more like, you know, 4 people than it does 2. But that being said, could this style of game work with 4 people like that? Like, are you gonna be doing raids in the Horizon universe, or
Hmm.
will they have a better term to use than raids? I have a hard time envisioning
Yeah.
that working in that world, but
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. What do you if it
Well,
works, I guess I'll be surprised is what I'm saying.
the more I think about this, the more that I am made a believer that this makes sense because of the nature of Horizon in the open world in terms of, the robot monsters, the different like clans and everything that you come across, the different locations. I think that it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I feel like, you could, like me, you and John could get on, have our shit. We could go out and, hunt for a couple robots, whatever, do some quest type of shit. Like, imagine like Elder Scrolls, but with robots, dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, that could be interesting. Yeah,
in co-op. It's kind of
it's
what I
we're
picture in my head.
I just pictured us doing Lord of the Rings.
No, not that kind. So I'm intrigued by this. If this is a real possibility. The other thing that I think is interesting, another conspiracy theory that I have, is that I feel like we're starting to see some of this play out with Naughty Dog and The Last of Us Factions multiplayer. I think that Factions multiplayer was originally just supposed to be a game mode in The Last of Us Part 2, like it was in 1, right? I feel like Sony pivoted course, and started to make multiplayer a focus along the way, as we've talked about on the show before, and they've publicly said as much too. But I feel like they were like, hey, make factions like its own thing. I think we saw like the inkling of that with the Legends and Ghost of Tsushima.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they could justify making that like a full blown thing other than like a $20 game like they have now. But I think they want to go bigger than that. I think they told Naughty Dog like, hey, if you guys really want to do this thing, like if you have ideas, let's hear them for factions. And they're like, okay, cool. We've got this, and this. And they're like, awesome. Let's fucking do that. Like, go make that, go make it a full blown thing, come back. I think they did the same thing with Gorilla. They're like, hey, do you have, what are these multiplayer ideas for Horizon? They're like, it's this, and this. They're like, that's fucking dope. Let's make that 10 times as big, and you guys go fuck off. You guys go fuck off and work on that too.
Yeah, and make a
Also,
Marvel game.
yeah, there's also that rumor that there's a PSVR 2 Horizon game. So maybe that's a multiplayer game. I don't know. There's so many irons in the fire, as they say, but a lot of potential, a lot of potentialities out there. Number 8, PlayStation introduced a new feature for PlayStation 5 owners on Friday called Game Trials. Players can now download select first-party PS5 games and play them free of charge for a limited time. The first 2 trials available are for Death Stranding Director's Cut and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Each game will offer a varying length of time to play the game, with players able to try Death Stranding for 6 hours and Sackboy for 5, for instance, with the clock starting once the download is initiated from PSN. Accounts are limited to 1 trial of each available title, and your progress, save data, and trophies will all carry over into the full game should you decide to purchase it. The limited game trials are limited in and of themselves, Travis, with these first 2 only available until October the 28th. What do you think?
So you're telling me that if I live in rural America and it takes me 6 hours to download the game, I don't get to fucking play it?
That's correct.
That's retarded. That's
Uh-huh.
fucking stupid. Anyhow, aside from that being really fucking stupid,
Yeah.
it's like the modern evolution of a demo, so that makes sense. I kind of
Yeah.
wondered where we would turn with those, and we really haven't had demos in a while. I remember like 2K would put out a demo every year, and then that turned
Yeah.
into the prelude, quote unquote. You just don't see a lot of that type of thing anymore. This is a good way for people to demo their game. Like, I could see it evolving to where like, oh, you play chapter 1 for free. If you like it, you get the idea, that kind of thing. So you got to be careful with that though, because a lot of chapter 1s are just, thinly veiled tutorials. So am I really getting anything out of it? But you hope that you'd think 6 hours on Death Stranding would be enough of a taste to know if you like it. So I hope that we at least keep decent numbers on these, especially since downloading time counts. Because it would take me probably 2 hours to download that.
Yeah. So great idea, poor execution, which is which is like half the time true for what PlayStation does these days. This is a great idea. I think this is that's a great point. I think it's an evolution of a game demo. It's cool that they're going to do it for first party titles. It would be awesome if they just did it for every first party title eventually. And I think that'd be an awesome way. Not that their games need sales boosting, but think about how many more people you could get to play a game like Death Stranding. If a million
Oh yeah.
people, if 3 million people would play the trial because they're on the fence, but a million decide to buy it, I mean, shit, that's just free money basically. So there's that. However, it is totally fucking stupid to start the clock when you initiate the download. That makes no sense whatsoever. Like that doesn't check out or add up in any way. Like whoever thought that would be a great idea should be fired. Like it makes no sense from any standpoint. That makes 10 times, 1,000 times more sense. It's like, hey, when you hit X, when you hit start on that game, the clock starts because the console already tracks your playtime for every game. We
Yeah,
know
it's not like
that.
you're not building another thing into this console.
Yeah, we know it. We know that. So that's the weirdest. That's some weird shit. And I think they're going to have to change that. It's going to be like closing the Vita store and then fucking the Horizon free upgrade stuff. Like I think people probably won't bitch enough about this, but they should change it. I feel like they will, but maybe not. It just doesn't make sense. Like you said, if you're not somebody who has decent internet, And even some people that do, if you're going to download a 60 or 70 gigabyte game, then there's probably 2 hours of your time lost. And I don't know, man. I think that's poor.
You know what I think is interesting is PlayStation seems to struggle the most with things that seem like they should be easy.
Yes.
Like, this should be an
Yes.
easy thing to decide, and they struggle with it, but they can, like,
Yeah.
cobble together fucking a whole new console that can do all kinds of crazy shit, and it
Yeah.
has a compression thing that makes everything smaller than any other console in the world, but they
Yeah.
can't make a decision like this.
It's very well said. They hit home runs with all this other shit, but then when they try to just do the little things, they just fucking stumble. I just don't understand how that's possible. I don't get it. Anyway, I see that you just signed on PlayStation. What are you doing over there?
I'm trying to see if I get this, what I get for my 2K login.
Oh, well, we're doing a fucking podcast here, Chief.
Oh, I'm just trying to see what I get. I'm excited.
Jesus Christ. Doesn't read the pod notes, doesn't even fucking do the show or either, guys.
God, I got a fucking base pack. Jesus Christ, Ronnie.
Number 9, Travis, we also have several news nuggets. Feel free to join me if you see fit, if you're not busy playing 2K. First nugget, PlayStation announced the October PlayStation Plus lineup on Wednesday. PlayStation 5 users can enjoy hardcore strategic 50v50 multiplayer first-person World War II shooter, Hell Let Loose. Fantastic. While PlayStation 4 owners will receive fighting game Mortal Kombat X and golf simulation PGA Tour 2K21. Oh man, this is prayers answered. I'm so glad that Hell Let Loose is free. I mean, I was going to buy it anyway, but this is great
Right.
for the player base nonetheless.
That we
What do you
need.
think?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad it's free. Hopefully some people will get in. Like, we've played before, like that last time we played with some guys that never played before, and they
Mhm.
were walking kind of through it, and you could see as we got farther along in the gameplay that they got more into it and they were more excited by it. And
Yeah.
as they kind of learn, like, oh, we can put down an outpost. Oh, this is how the guns react. Then all of a sudden you could really see it kind of coming together. And the reason that I think this game might have some legs, aside from the gameplay and that it's actually as realistic as you can kind of get with a war game, as far as I can tell,
Yeah.
is that the developers are so open and willing to listen
Yeah,
and
agreed.
change things. So that is awesome. We don't get that a lot. Shout out to 2K that we don't get much. But the fact that they also have $100 million they just got, like, there's a lot there on the table. They could, we could have a lot of fun with, I think. So I'm excited about that, and I think this is also a great W for PGA Tour 2K21 for the eyes they have for what they want that game to be. It being at least free gets some more people on the platform for them, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm terribly excited about Hell Let Loose. I will say that it's not going to be for most people because I already saw some of the discourse on Twitter this week. People were like, "This is a fucking L. What is this shit?" Played Hell Let Loose for 15 minutes and didn't see anybody and ran halfway across the map. Like, yeah, you can very well do that stuff if you don't know how to play the game and you're not playing with people who know how to play the game. So
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn how to play this game. You have to take it serious. You have to communicate with the microphone in the game. And, people, I mean, I get it. People don't want to, they just want to pick up the controller and go. They don't want to take the time to learn anything. But I can assure you all that if you take a little bit of time to learn the game and the systems, which aren't terribly overwhelming, maybe at first, but if you take the time to figure it out a little bit, there's something there to appreciate. And I certainly do. It's
Mhm.
fantastic. And they fixed a ton. And like Travis said, they've been listening to everyone's beta feedback. So you've got to reward that type of behavior, in my opinion. Next nugget, Horizon Forbidden West developer Guerrilla Games pinned a deep dive for the game on the PlayStation blog this week. Despite no real earth-shattering revelations, Travis, we did learn that the game will not be quote-unquote compromised on PlayStation 4, with Guerrilla claiming to have used, quote, unexplored resources that could push the realism and quality of our character assets forward, end quote. Lead character artist Bastien Ramesset also
Name
shared
that's all name team.
Bastien Ramesset also shared new shots of Aloy's character model, which has been vastly improved from Zero Dawn with an obvious increase in photorealism that is quite stunning. If you haven't seen the pictures, look those up. EA finally revealed Battlefield 2042 beta plans this week. Those who have pre-ordered or are subscribed to EA Play can play the beta starting on October the 6th, while everyone else can join in on October the 8th. Preload for the beta client will be available on October 5th, The beta will feature one map, Orbital, and one game mode, Conquest, with 4 playable specialists, McKay, Falk, Boris, and Casper. The beta file on PS5 will take up just under 17 gigabytes on your SSD.
You managed to work 5 dashes into one sentence, which is incredible.
I love the fucking dash.
You emphasized 5 points in one sentence.
Isn't that wonderful how the language works? Like,
It
when
is.
you read that, you knew exactly how I was going to read that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm excited. We all are. I
Yeah.
saw Tom Henderson tweeted out, like, you can, hey, you can make the thing launch or make it not launch. And then it seems like it still has those scripted events that happen in Battlefield. Like, remember when the Zeppelin would fall or whatever. So, fine. That's part of it. I get it. I feel like I'm a Boris, even though I don't know what Boris does. Boris feels like me. I feel like I
Yeah.
am a Boris. I'm excited to be Boris.
I feel like I'm a Casper, the
Yeah.
ghost.
I agree. I don't feel like we're going to see a lot of Falks.
Yeah. You don't think we're going to see many mother Falkers?
No, nobody has a lot of Falks to give.
Yeah. They're going to give 0 Falks. That's pretty good. All right. Very excited. Just a few more days here. Next nugget, the rumored Grand Theft Auto Remastered Trilogy was rated and therefore outed by the South Korean Game Ratings Board this week, and it is officially called Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. Awful fucking name. Sources told website Kotaku that the collection is scheduled to launch in November, and apparently, Travis, this is literally a remaster of the collection of those 3 same games that came out in 2006 on PS2.
Oh, interesting. That's awful and not exciting. If the North isn't shooting missiles, the South is outing games. That's what happens over there.
For every missile shot in the North, 1 game gets leaked in the South.
Yeah. So we got 3 missiles coming tomorrow. Get your shit together, Vietnam.
Yeah. What a fucking world. Also, one hit kill sword fighting game, Die by the Blade, was announced for PS4 and PS5 and will launch sometime in 2022. I watched a trailer for that. That's kind of interesting.
Does it have Wesley Snipes in it?
Not that I could tell.
Damn it. Missed opportunity.
Yeah. Also, 2 new game modes came to Destruction All-Stars this week, Mayhem Falls and Carnado Falls. Dying Light 2 developer Techland revealed this week that actress Rosario Dawson will play a character named Lawan in the upcoming game.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait. We had a release date for this game and it's been delayed. And they're just now telling us Rosario Dawson's in the game. Like, we knew that Gus Fring was in Far Cry like 7 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, what are these guys doing?
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, you mean to tell me that, they were going to launch this in December and we didn't know that a major Hollywood actress is going to be in your fucking game?
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see about it. Next nugget, Sony San Diego announced the Fall Circuit Esport Tournament for MLB The Show 21 on Monday. Players can compete to win millions of in-game stubs and $75,000 worth of prizes, with the first qualifier taking place on October 2nd, a second on October 16th, and the third on November the 13th. Ocean Island survival game Stranded Deep received a free online co-op update this week. Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan will participate in a fireside chat with gamesindustry.biz next month to discuss his history with PlayStation, views on the brand, and future of the industry. Jim will be joined by Haven Studios co-founder Jade Raymond, who will discuss setting up a new studio during a pandemic and how PlayStation helped along the way. So that'll be a total fucking snooze fest, by the way.
Yeah, see, only fucking nerds are watching that.
There will be no news from that. So don't get your hopes up.
Why do this? Why is game industry like, we should interview Jim Ryan? They just pulled names out of a hat that are famous, that are power names.
This is like when we used to go to, this is any convention. This is like when we used to go to facility and event management convention and you're just like listening to somebody talk about what they did to increase ticket sale revenue, yada, yada. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and it's bullshit because it's like, no, you increased ticket sales because your team got ranked. It's all the coaches and the players. You guys didn't do a fucking thing. You made a poster. Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. The future of the industry is we're going to sell a fuck ton of games. Let's fucking go. Next nugget, the PS5 has hit 1 million unit sales in the UK, faster than any other PlayStation console ever. Seems to bode well. Also, the first still shot from HBO's The Last of Us TV series was released this week. and showed Joel and Ellie in the countryside discovering a crashed plane, and it looks straight up out of the fucking game.
I didn't know if it was real or not.
I know. Falcom president Toshihiro Kondo
Maria Kondo's husband.
and acknowledged the quote-unquote overseas demand for Kuro no Kiseki.
I can tell you that there's not any fucking overseas demand.
Sure there is, man. The latest entry in their Trails series of JRPGs. It's worth noting, however, that publisher NIS America appears bogged down at the moment, with 4 other Trails titles releasing between 2022 and 2023. So it may not come anytime soon, Travis.
Just like my wife.
Netflix has purchased Oxenfree developer Night School Studio, becoming the streaming giant's first video game studio and marking their full-blown entry into the video game industry proper. So this probably could have been a full-blown news story from further up in the show, but we had so much shit that came up that just couldn't do it. But so we've got Netflix throwing their hat into the ring now, trying to play with the big boys. So it's that's big news. It's a big move for them. We'll see what they can do.
Everybody keeps saying streaming gaming is the future, and it is in a sense. I think that I think Stadia just was ahead of its time. I don't really blame them. Maybe they had some issues at the top that kind of held them back, but I don't know that Netflix gaming is the answer. I feel like we're going to end up with Xbox Game Pass and whatever PlayStation comes up with, and that's what we're going to have.
Yeah, it makes the most sense, and I am very proud to say that at one of these days that I will be able to sell my Stadia Founders Edition on eBay for like $5,000 because it's just going to be a random fucking relic of the past of video game culture. So I'll probably sell it for $5 if we're being honest. Anyway, next nugget, the Game Awards 2021 will take place on December 9th with a live in-person ceremony in Los Angeles, hosted by none other than Mr. Jeff Keighley.
Of course it is. What has more merit? The Video Game Awards or the Porn Awards?
Oh, that's neck and neck. If you're going to say like the Emmys, it's the Game Awards, no doubt. But
right,
that's
because
the other.
I mean, listen, if your kid wins Game of the Year, you're going to be proud as a parent. If your daughter wins Anal Scene of the Year, probably not that proud. Or are you? I don't know.
You mean maybe? You never know.
How do you support their work? I have a lot of questions.
You can't. I mean, you watch it, right?
How many anal scenes do you have to watch to pick one that you really like?
What a job. What a world. Also, website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that Activision Blizzard settled its lawsuit with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission the same day it was filed for $18 million and various other regulatory stipulations. Couldn't settle fast enough. Knew they were gonna get that hammer. Hasbro's game division, Wizards of the Coast, have opened a new development studio in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, and are recruiting staff for a new AAA G.I. Joe project. Okay.
That's where Coach K went. He used to coach Army.
Netflix announced that they renewed their Witcher television series for a 3rd season before the 2nd has even aired, Travis, and that they also greenlit a 2nd anime film and a family-friendly Witcher series as well. Cannot wait to see what a family-friendly Witcher series looks like.
I was going to ask you what that looks like.
When he should be cutting off heads and fucking bitches. So anyway, indie developer, this is great, Jerzy Kalinski announced 3D action RPG The Handler of Dragons. Handler, I hardly know her, which will launch sometime in 2022 on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
That's a fake name. Is he real? Is he more likely to be real or the guy from Abandoned?
Right. I have no idea. They're probably working together. Outriders developer People Can Fly will begin making AA games in addition to AAA experiences, according to website gamesindustry.biz. The studio plans to release one AA game a year starting in 2024.
What's the difference between a AA game and then a AAA experience?
Well, that's my typing there. That's just my word that I chose. But I didn't want to say
basically.
Yeah, I didn't want to say games and games. So
okay,
it's a AAA game. Also, the PlayStation 5 version of survival horror RPG Chernobylite, I can't talk today, has been delayed to the first quarter of 2022. Website PlayStation Universe reported that the following games received update patches this week: Hitman 3, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, Surviving Mars, Fist, Forged in Shadow Torch, Terraria, Marvel's Avengers, Dirt 5, Just Cause 4, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Dreams, Destruction All-Stars, Overwatch, Fortnite, and the HBO Max app. Also, developer Multiverse announced that Open Galaxy space RPG Earth from Another Sun will release on PS5 sometime in 2023, following a launch on PC in 2022. A new patent filed by Sony Interactive Entertainment indicated that PlayStation is working to bring PS5 games to the PlayStation Now service in the future.
It's a matter of time.
It was. It's very interesting because they not only are they was this patent talking about, just it wasn't talking just about the ability to download them, but it was talking about the ability to stream them from SSD hard drives, basically emulating the PS5 hardware somewhere else and streaming it.
Yeah, so you're basically building an emulator in a way.
Yeah, so this may factor in some way to their quote-unquote answer to Xbox Game Pass. We'll see. Website Gematsu reported that Metal Max spin-off roguelite action game Metal Dogs will release on PS4 sometime this winter. Retro-styled adventure RPG Faerun stealth released on PS4 this week. I think it's actually in the list, so fuck me. 3D action platformer Pumpkin Jack will get a next-gen upgrade on October 27th, featuring 60 frames per second in ray tracing. The upgrade will be free for current owners on PS4. Record of Lodos, Deedlit, and Wonder Labyrinth will release on PS4 and PS5 on December 16th, or SP5 as I typed. The recently delayed Toy Soldiers HD will now launch on October 21st on PS4. Classic twin-stick shooter Black Widow Recharged has been remastered for modern gameplay and will launch on PS4 and PS5 on October the 28th. Shoot 'em up games Cotton 2, Cotton Boomerang, and Guardian Force released as separate digital releases this week on PS4. Tuhao, Genso Wanderer, Lotus Labyrinth R.
Oh my god.
Okay, released this week on PS4. NIS America will publish Yurukill, the Calumniation games on PS4 and PS5 when it launches in the West in spring of next year.
What are these things named after? Is that a fucking place? Like, because Calumniation had place in Japan. What is a Genzo Wanderer? Is that like a type of samurai that only walks on his hands? What are we talking about?
I don't know, dude. With Tokyo Game Show is this week, so that's why we're getting so many of these.
Yeah, Deedlit and Lodos. What are we doing?
Fuck, man. It sounds like fucking Breaking Bad characters. Nodos. Anyway. Also, digital card game Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel will launch on PS4 and PS5 sometime this winter. Kogato Studio announced rhythm adventure game Star Melody Yumimi Dreamer for PS4. It will launch digitally sometime this fall.
Why is Yumimi so funny?
I don't know. A developer Bluebird team announced a new Layers of Fear game due out in 2022 and being developed on Unreal Engine 5. Town building action RPG Ayuden Chronicle Rising, the precursor side game to Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which, yes, I backed on Kickstarter, Travis. So
Of course you fucking did. You goddamn nerd.
Will launch in spring of 2022 on PS4 and PS5.
Do you write that shit off on your taxes? How's that work?
I wish I could. Action rescue platformer Fire Girl Hack and Splash Rescue, which looks actually kind of interesting, will launch on PS4 and PS5 on December the 14th, just in time for me to forget about it. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin will launch on PS4 and PS5 on March 18th, and a second trial version of the game is available now on PlayStation 5 until October the 11th. So check that out.
I would play Strangler of Paradise.
Strangler of Paradise. My Final Fantasy. All right. And finally, Travis Gematsu reported.
That's funny. I get that. You didn't catch that.
Yeah, I was hoping you would catch that. Somebody did. And finally, Travis Gematsu reported that Square Enix announced Dungeon Exploration RPG Dungeon Encounters. So fucking original. For PS4. It will launch on October the 15th. And that is all for a meaty week of news this week. And I'll now kick it over to Travis for this week's new game releases.
On the 27th, we had Dadish and Dadish 2. Well, I'll be goddamn. They put them out back to back. Can you imagine if we got GTA like that? That'd be wild. We got 5 and so we got 6 and 7 today.
You're right.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
Maybe.
We also had FIFA 22 Ultimate Edition, which, if you're wondering, we'll talk about in a second. On the 28th, we had Away, the survival series. Chernobylite. Are we sure about that one? We had G Darius HD or Gadarius. I'm not sure which one that is. We had Ghost Runner, which I feel like some random kid will really enjoy somewhere. In Sound Mind, Limnisgate, Unmetal, and Unmetal Dogs will be coming out soon. On the 29th, we have A Juggler's Tale. Not as fun as A Juggalo's Tale, but it could be. Human Centipede Recharged on the 4. Faerun Collection, or Faerun Collection, however you say that. On the 30th, we have Astria Ascending, which I think has decent reviews. If I'm not mistaken, or I feel like I've read something about it recently that was positive. eFootball, which is free and is just play the game for the player models, guys.
Come for the player models, stay for the dog shit football.
I mean, the faces they make, there's a picture on Twitter. You can look at the faces they're making if they score a goal, and it looks like John Coffey sucking the demons out of people. That's what it looks like. It is fucking outrageous. I don't know what they did wrong. I sent you that video yesterday, I think, of the guy's shoulder dislocating, and it was like down to his hips.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It just download it for the memes and have some fun with it. Also on the 30th, we have Hot Wheels Unleashed, which people seem to really enjoy. Real Farm Premium Edition. I feel like there used to be a Hot Wheels game on PlayStation 1 or 2. I remember seeing it at the Blockbuster.
I think you're right.
We also have Jean Juan Sword 7. Is that how you say that?
I guess. I don't know. It just made me laugh.
Okay. I missed the other 6, but I'll probably be there for this one. And on the 1st, we have normal FIFA 22 for you peasants who can't afford the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, that would be you. So, let's see. Decent week, I guess. I mean, FIFA, obviously the biggest release this week. It'll be the best-selling sports game this year, as it always is. Let's see. Chernobyl, keeping my eye on that one. I think it's getting decent reviews, but I wouldn't play it until it was on PS5 anyway. Ghost Runner was actually the PS5 version of that game, and it's a free upgrade if you own it on PS4. Unmetal is that parody of Metal Gear Solid, like top-down pixel art game. Let's see. Hot Wheels Unleashed getting very good reviews, actually, for that type of game. I think IGN gave it a 9, which is ridiculous. It supposedly is very fun. I'm going to wait on a sale for that one, probably. And then, that's about it. So then Travis's favorite, Yuan Sword. He's in for that. So, Travis, it's time to start wrapping things up here by discussing, as we always do, what we have been playing. And if there's anything we're looking forward to in the week ahead, what do you got?
I've really just been playing 2K and working through. I got obsessed with getting on the Ascension board and trying to pull the diamond card because the very first time I got to the Ascension board, I went all the way to the top level. So naturally, I was like, I'm gonna fucking get it. Why wouldn't I? Like, of course I'm gonna be successful at this. And then I'm like level 22, and I haven't gotten even fucking close. So that's been a complete waste of time so far. The vault odds are awful on Triple Threat. Gameplay is fun, especially when you gotten better players, and it's funny because you're learning how to do all these things and finish on the break and make jump shots. And then, like, if you play with a normal NBA team, like, my worst starter is going to be the best player on that team.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I can't do anything. Like, Jermaine Jones is my worst starter, and he's an 85. It's like, if I'm playing with Sacramento, that's the best player on the team. And I can barely do anything consistently with Jermaine Jones except play decent defense. So it's fun. You can still, from what I can gather, you can still kind of cheese the game a little bit. If you have a center that's really good at blocking, you can kind of funnel them into blocks and at least challenge shots. So that's a thing you can't really fix in basketball games, from what I can tell. It's just the way it's always been a thing. Like, I remember on 2K9 college hoops, you could just get a 7-footer who was awful, but because he was 7 foot, the game couldn't code it out, and he would just block everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's fun. Having a good time with that. Having a good time with the challenges and trying to grind those out. And it's like anything. If you're grinding for, you're grinding for speed on a level that you're playing, or if you're grinding for trophies or trying to find shrines on Tsushima, whatever, it's a similar thing that you're doing there. It's just I've been enjoying it so far. I haven't really played anything else. I've been kicking around I think I'm going to start doing the Hitman elusive targets once a week because I like the challenge of it. Like,
oh yeah,
you until you kill somebody, you can restart. So unless if you die, you're done. If you kill somebody, then you have to finish the mission. But other than that, you can always restart once you learn the lay of the land and try to figure out a plan. So I'd always thought you just started and that was it, but it
Yeah, me
actually
too.
it lets you kind of walk through and
Hmm.
get familiar with things because as you know, the targets are like there's targets who are on a loop and they almost
Yeah.
always have bodyguards, and then there's targets who are basically sedentary and they kind of don't move. So yeah, I'll probably do that next week. Just to add it up a little bit. It's just fun to kind of goof
Yeah.
around on it, and then I can go watch and see how other people did it. And I'm getting an inkling to try to get a top 500 score on some of these levels.
That'd be tough. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the
Oh yeah.
patience for that. But I didn't know that you could restart as long as you hadn't killed anybody. So that's good to know. I also have been playing NBA 2K22 a lot, pretty much every day. I don't have much else to report on that. I'm still really enjoying the game. I've gotten farther than I ever have on the seasonal XP
Me
battle
too.
pass, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what's gotten into me, but I'm enjoying it. So keep going with that. I did play more Deathloop this week. I, the game is very good. I really enjoy the gameplay. The gameplay and the systems are really cool. How things work together, all that sort of thing. I don't know if I'm going to see it through all the way to the end because I think this is the game that has convinced me that roguelike style games are not for me. Returnal broke me in a way. Returnal is a game that I also love in terms of the gameplay and the concept and everything, the aesthetic, probably more than Deathloop, but I just can't fucking do it, man. I'm not good. I'm either not good enough for it, or in that, and then also I don't want to have to just start over. My
It's kind
time
of demoralizing.
it's demoralizing. Then time is just precious to me, man. And you have less and less time to do shit. And
Now that I'm getting older and my time's so short.
now that my
God.
time's running out, I ain't got many years left on this earth. But so time is valuable. I don't know, but I will say this: the more that I played Deathloop, the more that I understand it and appreciate it. Meaning, I played for a while the other night, and I was just wandering around the different biomes at different points of the day, and I was discovering more notes and clues about how to get people places to kill multiple at one time because the goal is to kill everybody in one day, and you have 4 time periods: morning, noon, afternoon, and evening. So you have to literally play the game more to figure out how to do that. So I do appreciate that. And I'm figuring it out more as I go. So we'll see. I'll keep going with it. I did have to restart the day by default because I was in the evening and I obviously hadn't killed everybody. So we'll see. I don't know if I have the patience to totally see it through, though. And then also, I have been playing Destiny 2 at night occasionally with Jacob. He's on Xbox. I'm on PS5 with cross playing, just the free to play version of the game. That game just scratches a little bit of an itch just for a looter shooter. The gameplay is really king on that game, in my opinion. I do want to get into the Crucible because that's my favorite part of Destiny, but we haven't done that yet. It's good. I don't have much else to say about it. I don't have any interest in getting like the expansions or anything like that. Like it's not that good for me. Let's not get out of control here. Let's not get carried away, but it's
I'm
fun.
only mildly happy.
It's just a fun little distraction. Let's not get it twisted. So
Yeah, it's not that good. I wouldn't have sex with her again.
exactly. One time's enough for me. So yeah, that's about it. Week ahead, let's see. Hell Let Loose comes out October the 5th. I expect us to play that. Better happen. No questions. Ain't no guess. That's what it's gonna be. Far Cry comes out on October the 7th. I'm on the fence or not now that I have some cash flow freed up from not having to buy Hell Let Loose. If I'm going to get that, I think I'm going to wait and see what it gets reviewed maybe,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm doing.
then kind of go from there. I'm going to guess it's going to be like in the low 80s on Metacritic is
Really?
my
Oh, I
guess.
was gonna guess like a 73.
No, I feel like it's going to be in the low 80s, like 81, 82. I feel like it's just a paint by numbers Far Cry. It's just another entry in the formula, but it's, upgraded and 4K 60 and all that shit. So new gadgets. I don't know. That's my gut check. So anyway, that's it. Travis, it's time to go. If you guys enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. They'll be right there waiting for you every Monday in your podcast feed, as well as YouTube if you just subscribe there. I was about to say describe. If you describe there. Also, don't forget to review, rate, like, comment, share, all that good stuff that helps with the algorithms. We would be much obliged. And
Yeah, help out our PNR, PNG, PRG. What is it?
RNG.
There you go.
PNR, pick and roll. And then finally, if you guys would like to talk with us, and we'd love to hear from you, then find us on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. Chat with us there. And I forgot to mention, I've got to get used to mentioning at the top, we also have an Instagram page. You can find us at the DualSense Podcast on Instagram. Check out some virtual photography from yours truly. And I occasionally share a clip from the show there as well, although I try to keep that a little bit more photography. But anyway, you can find us there. We'll get out of here. You guys take care. Have a great week, and we'll talk at you next time.